Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Family Jewels. I'm Colton Bartell.
And I'm Audie Bartell.
And we are both graduate gemologists here at Suzann's Custom Jewelers. And today we're going to be talking about the Great Green Stone Emerald.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the what's referred to as the big three, which is emerald, ruby, sapphire. So we've got a few examples here. We're going to talk about
Could
both.
be one of the big four.
Diamond in there too?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good. But colored stone-wise.
Ah.
Yeah. So, anyway, we've got some examples here. Some that are mounted, some loose, some natural, some synthetic.
Mm. And some not quite.
Yeah. But we're going to talk about emeralds, kind of some of the places that they're mined, what to look for when you're buying them, as well as their synthetic counterparts, and then maybe kind of mention a little bit some of the relatives of emerald, which most people wouldn't associate.
Mm.
So, and then we've got some more examples coming in right now.
Yeah.
So anyway, as you probably know, emerald is green, and one of the more prized and sought after colored stone gems. Definitely one of the more widely known ones.
And if you happen to be born in May, it's May's birthstone.
It is, yeah. Now that we're in June.
Yeah.
But yeah. Emeralds, actually, first time they showed up was in Egypt, and the Egyptians really, really, really liked them. Cleopatra especially.
Yeah, what'd she do with them? Like, she would lay them on her eyes or something
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Was cooling or something, or soothing. Yeah. I always wondered if maybe she was trying to make, like, sunglasses out of them.
It'd be really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be really weird.
The world would always be greener.
True. And in that part of the world, you could probably use a little bit more green.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a big deal with Cleopatra. And then when the Spanish conquistadors and explorers and stuff traveled to the New World in South America, they came in contact with the Incans and the Mayans, and they were actually using them for all sorts of stuff. They were wearing them, they were worshiping with them, they were doing probably everything but eating them, and really, those Spanish explorers were after the gold and silver.
Then happened onto the emeralds.
And yeah, just happened on the emeralds, and that they were actually the ones that introduced them into the European society.
I'm going to say there probably wasn't much emerald maybe back in Europe then.
There was none, actually.
Really?
Yeah. It was first introduced whenever the Spanish explorers came back from South America.
Well, I just figured, Cleopatra goes back far enough that maybe something leaked over from there.
Doesn't sound like it. If it was, it definitely wasn't mainstream. So, right out the gate, it pretty much...
I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
So was it like the Spanish and maybe even the Portuguese wouldn't have done it?
Mainly the Spanish. Yeah. When they came back, they brought back emeralds with them. Didn't really know what it was. Just a pretty green stone, and once it got there, the Europeans just loved it.
Yeah.
And it's been popular ever since. So, even still today, what's kind of crazy is most of the same sources for emerald are,
at least that area is still producing.
Yeah. So. In that South America, especially Colombia, Brazil, and some of those other areas, they're going to produce the vast majority of the emerald that's in the market today. So,
or been in the market.
Yeah.
So, do you want to show them a Colombian emerald? I guess this is probably. You can model it on your finger or something.
Yeah. No. But our lighting again and our camera not real great. This one's actually a really nice, deep, true green color, and it's actually a really clean stone as well. There, if I get it to flash just right here, you can kind of see that color popping out. And then we've got this one that's a little bit lighter here. And really
probably in the our lighting, this stone probably looks better than the other one, but
yeah, but the other stone is actually a nicer stone.
Yeah, it's really saturated with green.
Yeah. So with emerald, and we'll talk about the family here. With emerald, they're part of the beryl family.
Beryl.
Yes.
Not
like a
oak barrel.
Yeah, not like a barrel, like a drum or something. No. It's a gemstone family, and emerald is a part of this, but some of the other ones that you might know would be aquamarine. Some people have heard of heliodor, which is the yellow variety, aquamarine being the blue variety of beryl. And you have goshenite, which is actually white or colorless beryl. And then you've got the really, really rare one, which is bixbite, or red beryl, or red emerald, that I personally have only seen maybe 2 pieces of in person.
I don't think I've seen a faceted one. I've seen a mineral specimen, a crystal.
Yeah.
We did have possibilities probably a little bit over a year ago of where we could have sold I think it was like in the top 10 largest gem quality red barrels.
Yeah.
Problem is we needed to have an interested party because it wasn't inexpensive to get
No, not at all. Good morning, Gabe. I saw a few others joined here. Let me see. Good morning, Matt. Good to see you on here. Matt Everett.
Oh.
So thank you guys for joining us this morning. If you guys have questions as we're going, feel free to comment on here and we can kind of answer them as we go. But so the beryl family, a lot of, you've got aquamarine in there. That's another big player in that group. But as far as emerald goes, it has to be green. But it has to be noticeably green. Because actually there are lighter shades of green beryl, and it's just that, green beryl. It actually doesn't qualify as emerald. So
yeah, it's kind of weird saying lighter shade of emerald or a lighter shade of green beryl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of weird.
So, even amongst the experts, there's even been some discrepancy between GIA labs of what is considered emerald and what's not. There was one stone, I was actually reading about this the other day, there was one stone that was sent into GIA California, and I don't remember, well, it was sent into GIA California and then GIA New York. And one lab called it emerald, the other one called it green beryl. So it was kind of right there on the borderline of color saturation, if it was qualified to be an emerald or not. Much like the discrepancies and the judgment on ruby, if it's too pink or not too red enough, which that's for another episode. But there's a lot of that going on with different colored stones in the industry, just because people's opinion of color is different.
Just to give you an idea, okay, so beryl, no impurities in it, is colorless.
Right.
And that's called goshenite.
Yes.
Okay, so whenever you add chromium to beryl, which is an impurity, doesn't take much.
Nope.
But
it's a trace element.
Right. So then it turns green.
Yeah.
And what is it? Iron that does aquamarine?
I believe so.
And I'm not going to be able to get the rest of these. Probably nitrogen for the heliodor.
Yeah.
We're just kind of guessing there. That's something
we have
to do a little checking on that. But anyways, if you had no color in beryl, you would have
goshenite.
You'd have a white emerald or a colorless
emerald. White emerald.
Because Bixbyte, I don't know what.
That's a lot more sellable name for goshenite.
Yeah.
Here's a white emerald.
Yeah.
Versus goshenite. Well, what is that?
Or maybe you could call it ghost emerald.
Ghost emerald.
Yeah. We may have a new product line.
This is white emerald.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that that's going to go over real well. It could.
Who knows?
So would we sell aquamarine as blue emerald?
Maybe.
And heliodor as yellow emerald?
That might be a little tough.
Yeah.
Well.
Anyway, traditional emerald is to be green. It has to have a noticeable green. If it has just light color saturation to it, is actually just referred to as green beryl.
Okay, so this is kind of
a mixed bag.
Yeah, and I'm going to say lower quality emerald to green beryl.
Yeah.
So there are, like that one in the center is probably green enough.
But the this one over here?
Yeah, that's closer to Colton. That one is not green enough.
No, that one's actually just green beryl.
So,
which greatly affects price.
Yeah.
Greatly affects price.
Because one thing is, whenever somebody calls it green beryl, most of the public out there doesn't know what green beryl. They're thinking, okay, so we got the oak beryl that's green.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows that emerald is actually beryl.
Right. Right. So yeah, it does have a huge effect on price.
The other thing is there are several treatments for emerald.
Mm-hmm.
Emerald
mainly affecting clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But can also affect color.
Mm-hmm.
Because they can actually do a little green color doping, I guess is what I'd say.
Yep.
But there's very little emerald out there that's not
treated in some way.
Right.
And a lot mainly oiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is it, like cedar oil they used, or?
There's a couple different ones, and then they also use stuff called Opticon to basically fill it. So most people also think of emeralds as being really fragile.
Right.
Truth of the matter is beryl itself has good hardness. It's just emerald in particular happens to
have so much stuff in it.
Yeah, happens to be less durable because of inclusions. And though not all emeralds are heavily included, the vast majority are.
Right.
And so they do have to be treated with care. But the other thing is, too, like we're talking about with the oiling, is that, you know, as they're coming out of the mine and stuff, a lot of these, as they're being cut right after mining, have surface-reaching fractures. So there's some like crevices and stuff like that are really small, but maybe go into the stone a little bit deeper, and they actually will oil or use this Opticon stuff to actually fill those crevices and fractures in order to hide them or mask them and make the stone appear cleaner.
It actually does make the stone look prettier.
It does. It does. It reduces the amount of light that's being broken up and basically absorbed into the stone and not being reflected back to the eye.
And this has been done for so long that it's almost
it's actually
a given that that's going to happen. So
yeah, it's actually not even required to disclose treatment. unless it is a dyed filler.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they're using like a green Opticon or something like that to enhance the color and clarity of the stone, then that's something that has to be disclosed.
But I know that like labs out there, especially GIA and probably Kublin and some of the other ones, whenever somebody runs into an emerald that's really clean, they're probably going to send that in to basically, if they can get a stone that's unenhanced, not treated
Untreated.
at all,
that
gets to be really expensive.
Yeah. Good morning, Haley.
So,
yeah.
Then I guess the other thing is probably the most notable emerald location is Colombia.
Yep.
And like I can always remember the Muzo. Everybody talks about Muzo emeralds, M-U-Z-O.
Yep. Which they also produce some really interesting varieties of emerald.
Well, I'm going to say it could be more than just Muzo. You're talking the Trapiche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and we've got some somewhere supposedly. I know.
I've seen them, but it's been a while.
We had them in Kansas. But yeah, it's kind of weird because it's got it almost looks like a pie.
Or a wagon wheel is what we always called it in school. It looked like a wagon wheel. So it's got a little circle in the middle, and then it's got a 6-ray, basically star that comes off of it.
And I think that's a calcium carbonate or something that's in there. That
I believe so. That sounds right.
Yeah. They can be pretty. They're unusual. Most of the time they're calved. I don't know that I've ever seen a faceted one.
Mm-mm.
And they're all kind of flat shaped, like...
And almost always
like
round,
a disc.
Round calves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really cool, though. Very interesting stone.
Yeah, the first...
Doesn't even look natural, actually.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. The first one I saw, I thought... Somebody
messed up.
Somebody
put marker on this.
somebody glued it together. Why'd they do that?
Yeah.
But yeah, we did have 2 or 3 at one time.
Yeah.
But
those are pretty cool.
We're packed away somewhere. We'll have to find those.
Yeah, but Colombia, yes, definitely probably the most popular, most widely known source for emerald. But there's actually another really good source on another continent that's producing really, really nice stuff, which he's actually going to show you right now. These are Zambian.
And probably not quite as saturated as that first one we showed you, but close. These are really clean.
Our light's not real great there.
It doesn't seem like in Zambia maybe they can produce as large crystals as what they do in Colombia, and I don't know if it's just what I've been buying or looking at, but it seems like the Zambian stuff is more consistent.
Mm-hmm. Color's more consistent. Actually, maybe a little bit cleaner.
Yeah.
Not having as many inclusions and stuff.
But again, probably not quite the production of what comes out of, especially even Muzo maybe.
Yeah.
But, so
our color's not showing up real well there.
No.
You want to turn that other light back on, and we'll see if that helps at all. We're going to change our lighting a little bit here because the stones are definitely not looking near as nice as what they are. Whoa, here we go.
This is where we look whiter.
Well, we look shinier.
No.
So
I don't think it helped it any.
Not a lot. Well, there we go. We got a little bit there.
Oh yeah, you can see it.
So
they look lot better in person than they do.
Oh yeah, but that's been with like every episode of everything we've shown. They all look much better in person than what they do in this light and on this camera. But
and again, Colton kind of brought up at the first is we was going to tell you what to look for in emerald.
Yeah.
Just like the rest of the colored stones, the most important factor in colored stones is the color.
Color. Yeah.
Actually, I've always considered there's 2 classes of green. There's a blue green and a yellow green. And I prefer the blue green, and I think to some degree it's probably a little more expensive than yellow green.
Yeah.
But again, it kind of depends on that saturation.
Yeah, and we're talking about the blue green and yellow green. The blue and the yellow are simply just a modifier. So it's something. It's not like we're talking like a teal,
right,
or a lime color. We're talking it's green that has a hint of yellow to it or a hint of blue to it.
Right.
It's just kind of a little bit of a shade off of green. Ideally, you want them to be true green, but in most cases, 99% of the time, you're going to have a color modifier in there of one of those two, and usually the best one is going to be to have the blue. So, looking for them for that color is one thing, making sure that it's saturated enough to actually be called emerald. You want a stone that's cut fairly well and that's pretty clean. Ideally, you want to get the cleanest and greenest stone for your budget,
right,
basically.
The other thing is, emeralds can come in any shape, but again, basically a round brilliant, like most diamonds are cut in.
Pretty rare shape.
That overall, that shape is to return the maximum amount of white light.
Yeah.
And depending on how well that round is cut, it does that better or worse.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a little more difficult in colored stones to come up with maybe a larger round stone. Part of it would be maybe waste.
Yeah.
The other thing
most of these colored stones, the rough lends themselves to elongated shapes.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because of the crystal shape.
Yeah. So a lot of ovals and a lot of emerald cuts.
Right.
Yeah.
And the emerald cut especially accentuates color.
Mm-hmm.
So, your emerald will be greener if it's cut or your crystal if it's cut in an emerald shape rather than especially a round.
Yeah.
You have to have a
really saturated piece of rough to cut round. So the other thing that we mentioned we were going to talk about was its synthetic counterpart, or the lab grown counterpart to emerald, which most gemstones now have a lab grown or synthetic version of them being produced. There's some that don't.
Some that are not economically.
There's some that are not economically feasible yet, and then there's some that they just haven't ever figured it out.
The recipe's too complex, I guess.
Yeah. But with emerald, they've gotten it kind of down pretty well. This is actually a synthetic emerald. This is grown by Chatham Colvard Company.
They're not Colvard.
Mm-hmm.
They're not part of Colvard.
Are they not?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, it's Chatham.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a Chatham emerald. So this one is actually I believe a hydrothermally grown emerald. So in that hydrothermal process, and I think we've talked about this maybe a couple times before, but essentially they're actually recreating a similar atmosphere to
conditions in the lab.
Yeah. So what they're doing is they actually have a heated solution with this material in it and some chromium in it to give it color. And then they're taking what's called a seed plate that actually has a layer of colorless beryl on it. And basically it's kind of like sticking a string in a glass of sugar water and letting the crystals form. It attracts the like substance to itself, and it kind of assimilates into a regular pattern, and it actually grows out from that central plate into basically thick slices of synthetic emerald. What's really kind of unique about this is with this material and this process, there are actually a lot of inclusions that happen in here that are very similar to those that can occur naturally in emerald. Those being 2 and 3 phase inclusions, which are really cool.
Why don't you tell them what those are? I mean,
so basically we have inclusions that are basically impurities or crystals or other elements within the stone that break up the crystal structure. They either affect the light and how, like maybe a feather or a break in the stone, so it's actually distorting the light going through there so that you actually see that break, or it can be an actual structure that's in the stone, being like another crystal or another mineral or a needle or whatever. In this case, with emerald, they have what's called 2-phase and 3-phase inclusions, which are really unique because they can actually have liquid, solid, and gas inclusions all within one inclusion.
And normally, like, 2-phase is going to be
normally a liquid and a crystal.
Solid.
Yeah, liquid and a solid. And so what's kind of cool is within these, they can actually move.
Yeah, they have a little bubble in there, so then you have...
Yeah.
Whenever you get the moving ones, that's going to be liquid and gas. And I don't know what the gas would be. Emerald gas.
Yeah.
So you'd have... And actually that gas creates a bubble within the liquid.
Yep.
That's part of the solid.
Mm-hmm.
And you can actually rock it back and forth.
Tilt the stone and see it move back and forth. Yeah, which is really unique. But this does occur in the synthetic stuff too. So it can throw people a little bit. However, there are some inclusions in lab grown that do not occur in natural, which those have a fun name too. They're called nailhead spicules.
And they
actually look like nails.
Yeah, just like almost like a, not colorless, but like almost like a transparent.
It's like a distortion in the crystal that creates this nail spikes shape.
Yeah,
but there's usually multiples of them, and they all point the same direction. And what this is it's actually where there is a separation during growth from the seed plate, which is where you get the nail head itself. And as the crystal forms out, it actually stretches and pulls that. It's basically.
I wonder if that has.
It's basically a void.
Gas.
Yeah, it's basically a void.
So a vacuum.
Yeah.
Would that be like a 4th phase?
I don't know.
Is a vacuum a phase?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it could be. We could name it.
But they're really, really cool. It's something that you can actually Google online. Google image search nailhead spicule in emerald. They're pretty cool.
Spicule.
Yeah, they're actually pretty cool to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the 2 and 3 phase inclusions, because there's not many other stones out there that have inclusions like this. This is one of the very few. You know, there's some other stones out there that have very unique inclusions, like
horsetail
and grosschelorite garnets. You can have lily pads in peridot, which is they're kind of cool too because they look just like a lily pad.
Yeah.
Very, very unique. But what you can expect from the synthetic stuff is it's going to be usually have that blue-green to it, have the bluer tint to it. They're usually going to be fairly clean, and you can get them in pretty much any size and shape.
Right.
Those do have to be disclosed, just like any other lab-grown stone. They do have to be disclosed that they are a synthetic. So, you know, it's one of those deals. If you're fine with having a synthetic stone, granted, you know, with any synthetic out there, synthetic versus simulant, a simulant is simply trying to impose or pose as another stone, but is something totally different. A synthetic is actually the same material or mineral specimen. It's just
natural, has the same chemical, physical, and optical properties that the natural has.
Yeah. It's just origin is the
difference.
Is the big difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, with these, you know, this emerald, the synthetic emerald, is emerald. It's just it was grown in a lab instead of being mined out of the ground.
And they've gotten really good at this. I mean, this is I'd love to buy
a natural stone like that.
Emerald that look like that.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And for the most part, there are some exceptions out there, but for the most part, synthetics are usually less expensive than natural. But again, you're getting a synthetic stone versus a natural stone. I mean,
and before he wraps this up, our little what do you call your mom? The ones that goes and checks all the facts.
Oh yeah.
It said, she got on here. Egypt was the earliest known location for mining, not far from the Red Sea. So that's where Cleopatra was getting hers. Because
Okay.
I was kind of wondering where, was Zambia even known about in the real world then?
Probably not.
But says that Cleopatra used to treat eye disease and the green refreshing
Represented
fertility
and rebirth.
rebirth. Can't read or writing.
No, you can't.
No.
Maybe you
So
can put some
anyways,
emeralds on your eyes.
I wonder, you may have to do a little checking to see the Red Sea thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
But anyway, if you guys would like to check these out, feel free to come by. We do have several emeralds here in stock here at Susann's. And we are at the corner of Everhart and Alameda at 4226 South Alameda here in Corpus Christi at the Town & Country Shopping Center. You can always visit us online at susanns-jewelers.com and right here on Facebook. You can also check out our Instagram page that we post daily on. But if you guys have any other questions or comments, or you would like to make a suggestion for a future episode, please feel free to message us or leave a comment on our videos, and we would be more than happy to answer your question and feature the subject that you would like us to cover. So with that, you guys have a great week. Happy Father's Day this weekend, and we thank you for joining us here at Susann's on Family Jewels.
Thank you.
Bye.